Boris Johnson has unveiled his first steps to easing the coronavirus lockdown and getting the country back up and running again. They include unlimited exercise, returning to work if you can do so from home, and being able to meet someone from another household, as long as you keep 2 meters apart. The Prime Minister will today set out more details in Parliament, before answering questions from members of the public this evening at the Downing Street coronavirus briefing, reports Mirror Online. It is thought he will shed more light on his plans to reopen businesses, schools and kickstart the economy. It has been almost 2 months since he announced that the country would be going into lockdown. And last night, in his televised speech, he reinforced that we cannot move forward unless we satisfy 5 tests. Read more related articles. They are, Mr. Johnson said, we have by no means fulfilled all of them. And so no, this is not the time simply to end the lockdown this week. Instead we are taking the first careful steps to modify our measures. Read more related articles. He also insisted he would not do anything that would risk a second peak in infections. It would be madness now to throw away that achievement by allowing a second spike, he added. Here are 8 things you can do from this Wednesday. We want to encourage people to take more and even unlimited amounts of outdoor exercise, he announced. That means the rule that you could only take exercise once per day looks set to be scrapped. The once-a-day rule was never laid down in the law, but it was in government guidance since March 23. To sit in the park, 2 meters from others. From Wednesday you will no longer have to keep moving all the time in parks and other public places, other than for a short rest. It is understood you will be allowed to sit and sunbathe or read a book, for example. The condition is that you must be at least 2 meters from people outside your own household. Three, sunbathe on the beach, 2 meters from others. The same rules that apply to parks will apply to beaches. That means you can sunbathe or read a book on a beach, just as you could in the park. Read more related articles. Again, you may only do this with members of your own household. You must be at least 2 meters from all other households. 4. Drive to other places for socially distanced outdoor activity. Mr. Johnson said in his speech that you can drive to other destinations from Wednesday. It has not yet been spelt out what this means. It suggests you will be able to drive to national parks or beaches that are not within walking distance of your home. However, people must wait until the full roadmap to be published on Monday for fuller details. Five, meet one friend in the park. If you stay 2 meters away from each other. Government officials said that from Wednesday, you may sit with someone from another household in public under certain circumstances. Those are if you stay 2 meters apart, and if so, for example, one person can meet another person from a separate household in a socially distanced way and chat from 2 meters away. But you can't bend the rule to have a very spread out party in the park with your mates. Six, play golf and tennis, but only with members of your own household. Golf courses and tennis courts will be allowed to open from Wednesday in England. However, you would still have to play only with members of your own household. Other sports may be allowed, but there is no word on football, which obviously cannot be carried out in a socially distanced way, and usually needs more people than are in the average household. Seven, go angling and swim in lakes and the sea. Angling and water sports are also to be allowed to resume in England from Wednesday. Again, you must be within your own household and 2 meters from other households. You can also swim in lakes and the sea as long as you're socially distant, but not outdoor swimming pools. Or indoor swimming pools, which like gyms remain closed for the foreseeable. 8, go back to work. If you can't work from home, this is more a should do than a can do. Mr. Johnson announced a change in emphasis, rather than strictly a change in the rules, from this week for who should and shouldn't be at work. Read more related articles. He said, anyone who can't work from home, for instance those in construction or manufacturing, should be actively encouraged to go to work. Work from home if you can, but you should go to work if you can't work from home. The Prime Minister said the government has been working to establish new guidance for firms to make workplaces safe. But he did not say when it would be published, which is likely to spark fears over how workers will be kept safe or whether they'll all be 2 meters apart. Eight things you can't do. 1. Have any kind of gathering with people outside your household, except in specific circumstances. None of the changes the PM has announced say you can gather with multiple people from outside your household. While full details will be confirmed on Monday lunchtime, this indicates you can still be fined for having a party or a group of more than 2, unless you're from the same household. And you can still be fined for having a big gathering of people in the park or on the beach, even if you remain 2 meters apart. The exceptions are the same as they were before: an essential work gathering, funerals, necessary house moves, or to provide care or assistance to a vulnerable person. You may also provide emergency assistance, or participate in legal proceedings or fulfill a legal obligation. The one change is that one person from one household can sit in the park, 2 meters away, with one person from another household, as described earlier in this article. To visit friends or family because you cannot gather with people from outside your household. This indicates you still cannot visit friends and family members at their home. This would be the same as it was before. Exceptions already existed for supporting a vulnerable person, i.e., bringing food or medicine to an elderly relative. 3. Go to non-essential shops or pubs, bars or restaurants. Pubs, bars and restaurants remain shut for the foreseeable future. Non-essential shops that are currently closed also have no reopening date, and won't reopen until June at the earliest. Mr. Johnson outlined a step 3 in coming out of lockdown in July, which will see some places in the hospitality industry reopen. However, it's not thought this will include pubs, even beer gardens. Read more related articles instead. It's likely to be a limited reopening of some outdoor cafes or restaurants that have an outdoor dining area where groups can be kept 2 m apart. It's understood cinemas and places of worship may be among other sites that can reopen in around July, again, if they can keep people 2 meters apart. Gyms and indoor swimming pools, along with the vast majority of other businesses that shut in March, remain closed, and there is currently no date for them to reopen. 4. Go out if you are one of 1.5 million people being shielded. There is no change to guidance for the 1.5 million people in England who are shielded because they are exceptionally clinically vulnerable. These are the people who were told to stay indoors for 12 weeks due to a specific medical condition that makes them vulnerable to COVID-19. Those in this group are meant to have been told directly. 5. Send your children to school, though that will change soon for primaries. At the moment, schools remain closed except for the children of key workers. However, that will change. The government is hoping all primary school pupils in England will be back in class for at least a few weeks before the summer holidays. Returns will begin from June 1 at the earliest, with nurseries and primary years R1 and 6. Other primary year groups would follow if it is possible before the summer holidays. Read more related articles. However, all timings are still conditional on the virus being brought down to an acceptable level in the UK. They could all be pushed back. Secondary school pupils in England will not resume lessons at all before the summer, it is understood. Only years 10 and 12 are scheduled to return to schools before September in the PM's lockdown roadmap. But while this will involve face-to-face contact with teachers, these will be support for home learning. There are no plans for secondary school lessons in the usual sense before the break, sources confirmed. Government sources said the realistic time period for secondary school lessons to fully resume is September. Break any of the lockdown rules, otherwise you'll face an increased fine. While some of the lockdown rules are being eased, the fine for breaking the ones that are still in place will be increased. The starting point for a first offence will now be £100, almost double the £60 previous rate. That will halve to £50 if paid within 14 days. But for repeat offenders it will double on each subsequent offence up to a limit of £3,200. Go on public transport, if you can help it. Mr. Johnson urged a nationwide push to come off public transport. He said, when you do go to work, if possible do so by car or even better by walking or bicycle. Just as with workplaces, public transport operators will also be following COVID-secure standards. London Mayor Sadiq Khan has previously warned the number of people on tubes and buses must be drastically cut to keep people 2 meters apart. Today's top stories: a double-decker bus would be able to carry just 15 passengers. Transport Secretary Grant Shapps said on Saturday that even with England's public transport network running at full capacity, it could only safely cater for 10% of the usual passenger load with the 2-meter social distancing rule in place. Go on holiday or fly freely into the UK, without a lengthy quarantine. The PM confirmed air passengers will be quarantined after flying into the UK. That includes Brits returning from holiday. It is understood the quarantine period will last 14 days and will be imposed in a few weeks' time. It is not yet confirmed if it will include non-flying methods of travel, ferries or the Eurostar. Ireland and France should be exempt. And pretty much anything else you can do at the moment. Our list of 8 things you can do has deliberately included pretty much everything. That'll change from Wednesday. If something was banned under lockdown, then unless you've seen it on our list, you should assume it is still banned until told otherwise.